In this tutorial, I'm going to be going over some of the most frequently asked questions I get from people who are interested or have already bought a tool. Then I'm going to go over certain things you can do to adjust the tool based off your own workflow. And I'll also show you how in certain circumstances you can go in and kind of customize the tool for what you need per show inside the blueprints. So what is the Light Passes AOV widget? Well, the Light Passes AOV widget can be a powerful tool in your workflow. But that's what it is a tool. It's really up to you or how it gets used. There's many different ways you can use it, but realistically, it's just something to take over from the movie render queue and to work with the movie graph if you're in Unreal Engine 5.4 and 5.5 and choose to use the movie graph. Everything that you can do in the Light Passes AOV widget, you can also do in the movie render queue. And you can do it in the movie graph. It would just take a lot longer. How does the tool render these light passes and AOVs? Well, for the light passes, it takes the actor tags that you give the lights and groups them based off those actor tags, and then it turns those lights off, and then one by one, it turns them on in sequential renders, effectively rendering out light passes. You could get the same result by using the sequencer and turn the visibility off in each light, and then duplicating the sequencer and only creating a sequencer for each light or each light group you would want to render, and then adding all those to the movie render queue and rendering them out. This just automates it. So effectively, it speeds up your own workflow to help you get what you need or what your compositor needs in Unreal Engine. So the first thing we're going to look at is namespace. If we go to our tool here, we'll look in the render options section and we can see file name format. And we have two things here, sequence name and dot version, and they're in these little squiggly brackets. So what are these? Well, these are string formatters. What are string formatters? Well, string formatters or format strings are a way to tell Unreal Engine what data you want from the engine to be included in the name. So right now I have sequence name dot version. So what's that going to do? Well, if we look at the sequence name I'm in, cinematic SEQ for sequence dot version number, so version 1. What about after that? That's where we get into the stagnant part of the namespace of the tool. So the way the tool currently works is you have the beginning, which can be adjustable, and it can be as many characters, anything you want it to be, but it will always end with the stagnant dot pass name dot frame number dot file extension. So for instance, if I rendered this right now with just a primary pass selected, it would come out cinematic sec dot version 1 dot primary dot 001 dot exr. Because my stagnant part is dot pass name dot frame number dot file extension. So the way that we can adjust this is by adjusting the first part here. So for instance, if I didn't want my sequence name and instead I wanted to use a shot code. What's a shot code? Shot code is generally something that you would use to organize your shots. Name of the show or name of the project. So for this one, it's TA, and then it's the sequence name. So for this is my end credit, say EC. And then it's the shot number. So it's for this one, it's 000 underscore 0010. And then we're going to do dot version. So the way that this is going to come out is exactly this. Because these aren't formatted a specific way, we're typing exactly what we want written. It'll come out TA underscore EC underscore 000 underscore 0010 dot version 1 dot primary dot frame number. So first frame would be 0001 dot file extension. So in this case, EXR. Now, what happens if instead of primary, it was light group? Well, everything would stay the same. The only difference would be instead of primary, it would be based off on the light groups. So for instance, for any light that has the actor tag right key, the file format name with right key as the pass name will have all of those lights. Now, what would happen if you didn't want version before the pass name and you wanted it after the pass name? Well, it's adding it to the stagnant part of the tool. Well, there is a way around that, but it's by going inside the blueprints. So let's show you how to do that now. So right here we have our BP underscore light passes underscore AOV widget. We're just going to duplicate this. And I'm going to name this key A for this show. We'll right click, run as a utility widget, and we'll overtake the one we already have here. So if I double click to go into the tool, you can click on this spot here called graph. And if we go over here to this green section, you'll see generate beauty config. So right here, you'll see a pass name. So if you want to do something simple, like not have the pass name be primary for your beauty renders and you want to be beauty, you could just type that in here and hit compile. Now, any render that has the pass name as primary, when it's rendered again, it'll be listed as beauty. So to change the version to go after the pass name, we're gonna double click into this function, and you'll see this very large graph, and we'll just go to the beginning here. So right here is where you see pass name. It's a string variable. So we're gonna follow it all the way over here, and you can see these appends. Right here we have our variable file name format, which is what you can change here. So since we want to get rid of the version, I'm just going to go down here. I'm just going to cut it out. And then if we look over here, you can see we have the frame number here. Well, I'm just going to draw this out with another append. And I'll add in my dot version. And then I'm going to do dot. I'll just copy the one that's right here. Dot frame number with the squiggly brackets. And I can just copy this and paste it to the one below as well. Make sure we hit compile up here and we have no errors. So now when we render, instead of having the version number here, as we removed it from our file name format variable, it's gone from here. It will render with our pass name, as we can see coming in right here, dot version dot frame number, and same thing down here. So if you want, you can pick these, Control C, and we can go to each of these generate passes, so generate light group config, and we just bring them in and plug them in right here. And I'll go ahead and just do that for the rest of them. We're all done and we've hit compile. We have no errors. So that means everything is working out for us. And if we render, we will now get the version number after the pass name, but before the frame number. And we still have all the option here to adjust whatever we need in the file name format. So let's say instead of rendering a full lighting, we're rendering a layout. We could type in layout dot sequence name. We'll have dot pass name, dot version, dot frame number, dot file extension. So we can adjust what our namespace will be per project inside the tool. And as you can see, now that our namespace has been adjusted, we now have cinematicsec.primary.version1.frame number. That's how you can go into the tool and adjust the namespace of each render specific to your pipeline.